This line it is vabbè, possiamo cominciare.
Start?
Sì.
Okay, thank you to everybody for being here. My name is Ornella Flores, you can see. I'm the scientific advisor of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in the Cultural Institute and the Italian Consulate. I welcome you for this meeting that we have today for the H2CU. And I would like to say just a few words about this very interesting program that started in 2004. To me, is the first time that I attend to this meeting, and I want to introduce the meeting to you. Today we are going to have an opening lecture by Professor Paolo Cappa. And after that, we are going to have a scientific presentation of the students and researchers of the H2CU University. After that, some of them will receive an award by the chair, Victor Goldsmith of the Pace University. This will be the first meeting of many others, I hope. We are planning to have every 3 or 4 months a meeting with the students of this group.
Thank you very much. Very good. This is very important.
This is not only my initiative,
No,
actually. We agreed about this just to promote the students and what they do here, because we appreciate very much what they are doing and their studies, because this is very helpful for the future of Italy and for the future of our our young students and the new people of the future. So we decided to have every 4 months a meeting held here in this institute, and a few students will present what they are doing, and they will have the chance to talk about their experience here in the United States and what they are planning to do in the future and what they want to do going back to Italy, if they do go back to Italy. I hope so. For our country, we need this type of people to run the country much better than is run now. Sorry. So I think I can give the microphone to Professor Lucio Robertini, and after when we finish, after the hour will be given, we can have a refreshment or cocktail or dinner, whatever. A good dinner after that. So everybody is welcome to stay. I forgot to tell you, for the students, this might be interesting. I invited an immigration lawyer who is a friend of mine, who has a law firm here, and if you are interested and you want to talk to her, we can just talk to her and ask some information. If for the people who are interested of staying here, to find out what are the possibility to stay here in the United States. I'm talking about immigration law and all the possibility about visas, different type of visas, sponsorization. Okay?
I think that the announcement of Dr. Flore is unbelievable for me, because I work 10 years, no more than 10 years, to have the possibility to stay in this beautiful building for seminars, the periodical seminars. But okay, when I submitted this idea to the other people before Ornella in this contest? They reply, yeah, it's okay, but I see that really the interest was not very much.
Really?
You
Okay.
are very kind, and I think that is very important to have for the people who work inside the H2CU in New York to have a point to meet because Ornella speaks about 3-4 months. I think that is a good period, but also once in a year or twice, it is for me it is very important. But not. It means that I accept the very
No, I said
refuse your. But however,
I said 3-4 months because before becoming a diplomat, I used to work. I was a professor at the university, and usually you have to check what the people do quite often. So I think 4 months would be perfect.
You are.
3 times a year, and I think
I appreciate very much this proposal, and
Yeah.
I think that another applause for Ornella because this is. Unbelievable. Thank you really, Ornella. Thank you very much. Today is the second meeting in New York for this occasion to celebrate, to mark the 2013 as the year of Italian culture in US. I think that is the second day, but I want to underline that it is very important because it is the day of our results. Yesterday we had the balance of the initiative and some discussion about the future program, but today I think that the speech of the people who work, it is very important. We thought to divide this meeting in 2 parts. One, the speech, I don't speak about the professors, they speak only for the student and the former student in New York. 2 parts. The first is the student who are in the last period in New York, or for the commencement, or for the long period in New York. And the second part is the student, the former student who work in some important structure, firm, consulting in US. And I want to give to this student an appreciation of their work, and to remember also this day for the future. I think that the future for our activity can continue in this line, and I am very satisfied for the results, and with the help of the actual people who are in New York, and the former people working inside the H2CU can improve very much our activity. Thank you very much again for you, and I think we can start with the program.
Yeah.
The opening lecture is the Paolo Itinere and so on. Paolo Kappa is professor in Sapienza in Rome. Thank you, Paolo, to be here. And please.
I would like to start by thanking Professor Flores that make available this meeting in this beautiful room. My dear friend Lucio Bertini, that I appreciated in the past 10 years his vision, his strength, and my dear friend Maurizio and Salvatore, that we share everything with only one exception: Italian soccer team. Please don't ask and don't discuss about Italian soccer team. We fight very happily.
Which is yours?
Not us.
Now I'm curious.
No.
Eh?
Just bad.
Just bad.
And a final remark to the wife connection, and because also the Dr. De Vincentis and Dr. Grillo make available the impossible. Consider that in Italian public administration, the rule is order, then arrive the staff for the service, and then we can pay. And this is exactly the opposite here in America. You can imagine to manage an important investment with a different complement. So, just keep to the reason for this seminar. The reason for this seminar, when we discuss with Maurizio and Salvatore, and is, okay, what I have to do. And why you don't just describe like a case study, a long story about a research program that is characterized also by peak and valley and losing time and unsuccess and success, to have international cooperation, and then at the end of a success story, reach also the possibility to start a spin-off. So this is the reason. What is the manner to go ahead?
Direttamente concludere.
Ah, ok.
Usi il microfono lì.
Ok. Meglio, considerando come sono. So the first...
Unless you want me to move.
I have a personal theory that I speak loudly, because if I speak
I
loudly,
agree with you.
yeah, I can broken the school of my students and then the information right.
No. I just wanted to ask you if you want, you can move with this
No,
over
I'm
there. So
here.
you can,
I'm fine.
If you like to stand up.
Okay.
That's it.
So the project is called Itinere, a Latin word that means just go ahead, and is focused on exoskeleton for children with neurological disease. And first question, making a wearable exoskeleton for children, what are the solutions? If I were 10 years old, like in this photo, my design could be, and the gold and the silver medal could be this one. And this is a real exoskeleton that was made in Alaska by a person with some mental problem, perhaps. And he was able to step 6 steps and then was broken. But the golden medal, if I were 10 years old, is that. You can imagine the fun that we can reach by using that device. Unfortunately, I'm in the bad side of the 50, that is close to the 60 than to the 50. And then I made something that is definitely less funny and less fancy. And is that. First of all, what I just saying to my student, that every research, it means that there is an interconnection about a multicultural, let me say, research team. This is my research team in the Department of Mechanical Aerospace Engineering, and with research associate, PhD candidates. But all of my works are in close connection with the Children's Hospital, a laboratory for movement and robotics that is located in a hospital in Rome. And the second point that we have to underline, and that any research have to be sufficient funds. Otherwise, no one can be done. And there are the necessity to converge different researches. So, for example, I used previous research that is in cooperation with Maurizio Porfiri and Nicola Bade, that is a former PhD candidate, currently is at Virginia Tech, is about a manner to monitor movement with a minimally invasive sensors. And contemporaneously, I have another past project where, in cooperation with MIT of Boston, that we developed some robotic system to rehabilitate the ankle of children with hemiplegia. So why not don't mix these two just concluded researches and just step further to design a wearable ankle-knee exoskeleton, and this name I like so much is Wake Up for children with CP. The exoskeleton is a very, is the mainstream. I don't know the number of exoskeleton papers that are published every year. The very first proposal for exoskeleton is this one, and then there is some project that are funded by the Army, the American Army, the DARPA, some Japanese, the manga is always present, and some other prototype that are proposed in literature. But very peculiar aspect is the design of our project. First of all, no one of the exoskeleton that were designed and proposed in literature are specifically designed for children with hemiplegic problem. Second, we would like to design a system that synergistically has to cooperate with the children, so is able to understand that there is an attempt of movement and the exoskeleton has to promote this attempt of movement. And this is very difficult, is the crucial issue, because the force exerted by children is very low. And so the problem about the signal to noise ratio is very killing every research activity. The second aspect important is that it has to be designed as a modular device. Means that I can use for different patients only the knee module, only the ankle module, or both, from one side or both sides. And because I'm a teacher in mechanical measurement, obviously has to be packed with sensor just to have a precise idea what is going on in this device. First of all, the first question that we posed 3 years ago, but if we had some extra masses to our patient that are some problems also in locomotion, that affect the gait pattern of children, both normally developed and children with CP. And so we utilized this brace, we added mass, we conduct many experiments in the laboratory, and at the end of the story, this is the findings. A wearable device weighing 25 newtons or less will not noticeably modify the gait patterns. So this is a very important issue, because otherwise we interact and we affect the gait of our children. The second question, is a wrong way, and we lose about a semester to hardly work in this argument, is it a viable scheme based on push-pull cable transmission? So the basic idea is to pose all the motor here and to pass the movement through a push-pull cable and to the actuator here. And looks simple, not very heavy, and so why do not examine that opportunity? And we organize a test bench and so and so and so, but let's skip to the conclusion. The push-pull cable transmission option has to be discarded because there are some dramatic hysteresis effect that is caused by different curvature of the system, and so consider that the system has to measure and contemporaneously has to exert some forces, and this causes instability of the system. So one semester just throw away. So we continue to move and adopt a classic scheme in neurorehabilitation that is called Serious Elastic Actuator, CEA. Means that we apply the force here, then there is an intermediate element that smooth these forces, and then the force are applied to this limb. And this is a general scheme, and it's not my idea, but I adopt the system, the scheme that was proposed in other application in neurorehabilitation robots. And so some scheme of mechanical engineer, so you can imagine that I love so much all of this scheme. But the main issue that this is the electrical motor, this is the encoder, a magnetic encoder to control the position. This is the elastic element that is intermediate between the distal and the proximal legs. And so this is the original scheme. And then this is the basic idea of the exoskeleton that is articulated in KM, knee module, and in ankle module. And conclusion. We tested, I don't annoy you about all the technical issues, but the first prototype has some poor performance of the encoders in terms of not excellent ratio signal to noise. And so the experimental analysis demonstrated that the actual servomotor torque was lower than the one reported in data sheet. So another semester that was thrown away, and we have to restart with a beta prototype. The beta prototype is articulated in a pulley reduction, the possibility of mounting two motors, so just to double the torque applied, and change the technology about the sensors. And this is the final scheme. We bought a 3D scanner to create a mock leg, and then by using a rapid prototyping machine, we easily realized any brace that is can be used for our children. And this is the final scheme. And the outcomes after the mechanical characterization is that the redesign of Wake Up overcome the previously highlighted critical issues. Just a few words about the electronics, and the electronics has to be very simple because I cannot afford a large number of cables in my structure. So we can schematize as a remote monitor that has to connect with the master of the exoskeleton, and this is master of exoskeleton has to connect with the joint module, body sensor, and other slaves. And so other detail that can kill you and so I'll just shift. Another aspect is another question that we posed 1 year ago. Can be implemented a real-time detection of the existing gate phases so that the system, the exoskeleton, can effectively interact with the attempt of the movement. And this part of the research was conducted with Maurizio and Nicole. And so we utilized some magnetic inertial measuring unit and some foot switch. And by using something that is magician for me, it's like hidden Markov model, Nicole Abide proposes a novel online algorithm can be implemented on the wake-up exoskeleton. And so we obtain some preliminary tests. This is the usual problems about the video, but this is one of our children that wearing the knee module, and is the version that is tethered, so all the information pass through these cables, and we are working on the system untethered. And so the spin-off. Every activity that can be a success means that has to be effectively applied. So we are planning a spin-off considering 3 partners: Sapienza University of Rome, Children's Hospital, and BTS Bioengineering, that is located in Milan, and is a European leader in experimental biomechanics. Just to give some idea, produce system for kinematics, system for surface MG, a system for force measurements. So it's a well-reputed company, and an incredible amount of paperwork about business plan. I can understand completely up to now the ownership of the patents and so and so. And probably in January of the next year, we start with the institution of the society. And the 2 product that will be sold is another devices that we developed at hoc that is for dynamic posturography, and as a matter of fact, that is our exoskeleton. So that's all, folks.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Kappa. The very interesting activity in the cooperation with the Sapienza, Polytechnic University, other hospital, and I think that it is very important for, general speaking, for the research, but also a very important research for the humanity, and really important. See, some questions? You have Ornella, you the master.
First, I have to report to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs what we have done today, and I wanted to ask you if I can have your presentation for 2 reasons. One is because of today. The other reason is because I am organizing a series of seminars about life science and creativity, and yours fits perfectly on that. And also because you are planning to make spin-off. I have several questions about the spin-off.
I'm not the best person.
No, but it's not already
when
set.
This meeting, I say like that.
So, but it's not set already. It's just you are going to do it.
Yeah.
So you don't know anything about the plans.
The main difficulty is a public institution, Sapienza,
right.
is a hybrid institution
Yeah.
because it's not Italian, but it's in Vatican City. It's a children's hospital, and is a company, an Italian company. So we have to take into account these three elements of
Yeah,
this
the
strange.
inventors. Who are the inventors? Who is going to
The inventors of the exoskeleton are the three engineers and two physicians.
And the owner of the patent.
The other are Sapienza and Bambino Gesù.
So you have this settled
Sure.
already. And if you want, I can give you some information about the spin-off with the university, because just last month I had the first seminar about a new spin-off Italian
but,
creativity, and it has been done with the University of Naples
Okay.
already.
Like to thank you so much, but the procedure is a
Already.
long run and it started 2 years ago, and we have to overcome all of these bureaucratic aspects because we have to mediate the different and sometimes opposite.
So, but I can
position.
use what you said today to send it to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think it's important. Thank you,
I think
Ornella.
it's very important because we have to show that in Italy, even though there is no money and there are problems, it's possible
I
to have some
continue to
results.
say that sounds strange, but the true problem is not the money.
Yeah, I know. It's, but
One of the students yesterday said that, okay, this program double degree is so important, but
May I ask you-
the problem is not that.
and the money was coming from private companies, from the
No,
government in
for
Italy, from the
international
United
funds.
international funds.
National funds.
Okay.
Thank you, Paolo.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Maurizio Porfiri is the chair of next session, the scientific presentation from H2CU students and researchers. I think that you come here, and, no,
I will go.
you manage the session.
Ok. And
Poi il microfono qua.
è uguale.
Mettiamo Maurizio Porfiri per favore qui. Mettiamo Maurizio Porfiri qua. Mettete dietro al tuo nome che sei qua.
Sto qua, sto qua. Chi?
Qua.
Ma io strillo pure io.
Ma strilla, qua come te pare.
Ok. So I think that what we may want is that the students that are standing, I think that there are a couple of seats maybe here and there, so you may want to take them. Right? So before we start the presentation. Salvador, tieni al posto. Okay. Okay. So for today we have 5 of our current students that will present their work, and each of them has participated in some H2CU activity to different extent. So we have example of students that who have attended a summer program in Italy, and some others that are participating in a double PhD, as well as others which are in a double master degree program. So the first speaker is not Italian, and he is John Shepard from Columbia University. So John, if you can come. So John is a doctoral student in classical studies at Columbia University in New York, and he specialized in Roman history and archaeology. He learned how to excavate in Pompeii, and his dissertation is about mass culture there. And Joe is very thankful to H2CU for the chance to continue training as an Italian archaeologist in Castellammare di Stabia, where he has learned a range of specialized skills and gained valuable experience in all aspects of field work. And I think also you got good pizza and good food, right?
Yeah.
That was good. Okay, very nice. So you can stand or sit, whatever, it's up to you.
Okay.
And
Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
And
Okay.
you have 8 minutes, so the plan is to have each of the presenter 8 minutes and then a couple of minutes for questions. So each of them has been instructed to follow 8 minutes, and I am very diligent on that.
Okay.
Okay. Please.
Okay, good afternoon and thank you for the invitation. I'm here to talk about the results of the field work carried out by the Advanced Program of Ancient History and Art, which we call APAHA for short. So when I refer to APAHA, I'm referring to this program. The APAHA is a partnership between Columbia University, the Italian Academy, La Sapienza University of Rome, and the H2CU. The program is interdisciplinary and aims to train junior scholars through exposure to the most advanced approaches in ancient history and art history, as well as exposure to archaeology with a special emphasis on ancient Italy. The directors are Professor Francesco De Angelis from Columbia University and Professor Marco Maiuro, also from Columbia. And the field director is Professor Taco Terpstra, a former PhD student from Columbia who's now at Northwestern University. And the APAHA is an integral part of Columbia's classical studies program, chaired by Professor Katja-Vogt. Okay, so for 2 summers now, the Advanced Program of Ancient History and Art has undertaken excavations at the Villa San Marco, near the site of the ancient settlement of Stabiae. There. The villa was a large countryside estate built on the headland overlooking the Gulf of Naples. But today the town of Castellammare di Stabia lies in the reclaimed land between the site and the sea. This is the view from our site towards the Bay of Naples and Mount Vesuvius, and there's the modern town in the foreground. Of course, the nearby towns of Pompeii and Herculaneum have been heavily excavated, but the site of Stabiae was no less important in antiquity, and it's in some ways more interesting to us precisely because it has received less scholarly attention. In 2 short seasons, the project has already yielded exciting results, which I'll mention today, and has provided a fertile environment for exposing students of ancient history and art at Columbia to a wide range of historical issues and practical skills. We archaeologists have really become part of the local community in Castellammare di Stabia and have built a strong network of relationships with leading scholars and researchers working in and visiting the area. And so these are sort of the nice areas of the villa that I'll show you. The atrium or entrance room at the bottom, and the garden courtyard at the top, with a cultural experience taking place. Okay. Each year, our project has expanded in scale, employing more students from various countries and opening new archaeological areas to investigation. But our project is about much more than just excavation. Our evenings were enriched with seminars from visiting specialists in fields such as ceramics, osteology, architectural drafting, and environmental analysis. And we exploited every weekend to visit local archaeological sites that were either comparable to our own research into our villa or supplemented that with insights into other relevant aspects of ancient life in Campania. More often than not, we're guided through each site and museum either by the scholar who had written the book about it or the one still there, currently undertaking research. These trips were very tiring at the end of each week of heavy labor in the hot Italian sun, but we had to rise to the challenge of active participation to ensure we really benefited from the didactic experience. So in short, it's difficult to imagine a more stimulating and rigorous environment in which to learn about the many different facets of ancient Italian history, archaeology, and art history. Excavations at the Villa San Marco are the first stratigraphic analysis of the site. And the method of stratigraphic excavation means that every physical relationship possible is carefully placed in a chronological sequence. Every wall or architectural feature, every floor surface or natural deposit, every disruption must be investigated in relation to one another in order to assess exactly what order each event occurred. The archaeologists from previous centuries had essentially sought to uncover the remains of the villa. At the time, it was buried by layers of ash and small pumice stones after the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD. And these archaeologists were searching for valuable objects or works of art. So, though costly and painstaking, our stratigraphic excavations are essential to understanding key research questions about the different phases of habitation at the site, how various spaces were used, and the relationship between the villa and the nearby town of Stabiai. So this is the area that we worked in, the courtyard that I'll talk about, and you can see looking through there, there's a street on the map heading up to the ancient town of Stabiai and heading down to the coast. The courtyard here was selected for preliminary excavation because it sits at an important intersection where the public space of the neighboring street meets the private household space, and where the two orientations of the house converge. So you can see it's orthogonal, diagonal rather, at one side, and then straight up and down, and we wanted to find out why the house was built in this fashion. The arrangement of the rooms here also required explanation, with the monumental and grandly decorated entrance of the household, which I showed you before, adjacent to a more humble, undecorated courtyard here, with just a simple beaten earth floor. It seemed likely that we would be able to discover the stratigraphic relationships of all the different structures here. But what quickly became clear was that parts of the stratigraphy had been dug before. And so a long tunnel, the length of this space, seemed to follow the path of a lead water pipe, which was probably stripped by excavators when the house was first unearthed in the 18th century, when they were looking for lead to reuse. While this was initially frustrating, this discovery led us to a series of long and deep water channels, which you can see here. There's an aerial shot in the bottom left. Imagine you're standing in the channel looking to the right in the top left-hand corner, and this is taken from the other side. And these are deep channels for drainage. And this one flushed out one of the latrines. The southern channel that you see here also collected the runoff from the open-air atrium and from a pool piped in from behind the wall on that side. And from a chute which drained a shallow tank in the corner of the courtyard. I'm talking about where those measuring rods are on the right-hand side. So this channel actually yielded a very large amount of cultural material, such as shellfish and ceramics, which we're still processing in order to find clues about what activities the surrounding space was used for. And the likely narrative we're working with is, so far, an initial phase of production activity involving two deep tanks that were subsequently destroyed or modified, along with one of the drainage channels, this one here, and finally a creation of another drainage channel in the other part of the courtyard. And this hypothesis accords with the overall lack of decoration in the space, the enormous limestone mortar that we found in the room nearby, and the immediate access to the street, and possibly the magazines, the small rooms on the other side of this, which we're still going to excavate. In the summer of 2012, we also opened a trench in the street that leads down to the sea from the town. This is the trench in the street viewed from above, and this is the archway over the top, which is the shadow on the right-hand side of that image. So the city of Stabiai had been rebuilt after its destruction by the Romans in 89 BC during the Social War. But we still actually know very little about the nature, the size, and the layout of the settlement and the roads leading from it. And to our great surprise, beneath several road surfaces here was a very deep and old soil deposit with very little cultural material apart from some archaic ceramics, such as fragments of black figure Greek pottery and tiles, along with some rubble consistent with some kind of monumental structure. And these can be securely dated to the 6th century. So the site therefore seems to have been occupied for far longer than previously realized. but there's still very little evidence of habitation over the next 5 centuries, which implies a lengthy period of inactivity before the construction phases of the villa following the war. And the external area also provided a second surprise. We realized that this arch here that covers the road seemed to allow for elevated passageway between the two buildings on either side of the road. So in other words, it's possible that the house continued across the street. And this is a good example of how the archaeological results from one season shape the frame of reference and generate new research questions for future seasons. And there's still plenty of work to do in the future, such as excavating the eastern rooms of the courtyard I mentioned before, which we need to uncover and plan, and an authoritative survey and 3D model of the standing architecture at the villa as well. And now that there's a cohort of well-trained archaeologists, as well as the infrastructure and resources to support them, I'm confident that these results will be achieved by keen new students arriving in Campania from the United States and from many other countries, and that there will be many more intriguing and unexpected finds along the way. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. So, any questions for Joe? Question.
Okay. Question is a comment. I think that the meeting of this year for the Archaeological Institute of America, if the exact name I don't know, but you please, the poster of this meeting was Stabia.
Yeah, that's correct.
The meeting of the Archaeological Institute of America is meeting about 3,000, 5,000 people. And in this meeting, the organizers, chose the Stabia for the poster. And I suppose the artistic photo is very beautiful. And I know that the photographer is a good artist in New York, and also this is a compliment for choosing this artist for the photo. But I think also for the results of the excavation. And Francesco, dove sei? Professor De Angelis is the leader of the group, and I think that it is very, very good success for this program. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
Any other quick questions for Joe? Any comments? Any? Feel free to ask. It's all right. I mean, it's... Please.
Prego, microfono, professor Natale. Prego. Microfono.
Thank you. I have many. I would have many questions, but I make it short. There's some interesting thing about this excavation. Did you find different layer of material? I mean, lava, pyroclastic material, sediment, and so on. Mm-hmm. And were you able to give a date of the different? But I am also interested in the hydraulic works. No? Probably there is also a water supply system in the villa, and in that case we have a very skilled hydraulic engineer that can help in excavation and interpretation of the result of your result. Yes, thank you.
That'd be fantastic. You can see some of the volcanic material in this slide actually on the left, just above the girl with the hat. This very yellow color of soil is natural soil. So our goal was to dig down until we found no more evidence of human culture. And I think you're right about the hydraulics, because there's a lot of